Hello everybody. I don't know if you know this, but we have a YouTube channel, my husband and I, and we've been looking for ideas of things that we could talk about that would be interesting to people, things that people actually want to see, like, for instance, subjects such as cooking was one of the things that we could talk about. We were thinking about just, showing you what you can do with a very basic budget, which is basically what we have, as in right now. I am not making any money. Sorry about the wobbling, just moving the laptop there. And I've absolutely no way of making any income right now, but I'm trying to find a job. So I'm applying, and I went to an interview on Saturday, which actually went rather well, so fingers crossed I might get that. If I do, I'll take it. And we'll still try and make videos, but I might actually be able to do those. No, I'm not allowed to take a computer in there, so probably not while I'm at work, but when I get home from work. That was one. Another thing was, one of my friends, she says, I'll talk about how it is, differences between Europe and here. Like, I don't know how many of you know this, probably most of you do, but some of the new people that I've added only just recently probably don't know this, but I've only been living here for roughly 3.5 years. Before that, I was living in Switzerland all my life, and I moved here to get married to my husband. So we are hoping that, somebody wants to listen to the stuff that we got to say, and it would be nice if we could, I don't know, monetize it and make something from it, just from talking about stuff that we like. My theory is that if you put out enough information and enough, material, you just make videos that are interesting, people are entertained, they laugh, or even just learn a new recipe and think, oh cool, I want to try that, that looks really tasty. Now, Mick's a really, really excellent chef. I mean, I just recently found out that he's also an excellent baker. So, and it's funny because he thought he didn't know how to bake. And I just said to him, yeah, you do. It was like Yoda. I talked to him and I said, you can do this. And he did it. He's made like 60 loaves of bread since. So yeah, we do buy that big $6.80 Walmart flour bag, the big one, whenever we get a chance. And we always can bake. But the thing is, we don't have lots of income, not lots of money, so we eat basically food that's from the food bank. And I don't know, some people who have seen this video will have had some experience in the past, maybe, or maybe now, I don't know, with the food bank. My theory is this: if I'm starving, then it's other people that are in the same situation too. Of course, there are some advantages to that. I can now wear pants again that I wore last in 1993. Unbelievable. Never thought that was going to be possible. Plus, I've still got them. That's even, I don't change my wardrobe very often. I'm a very sort of practical kind of person where that's concerned. And for years, I wasn't exactly the right shape to wear nice clothes, so I just never really bothered. So the reason is, I just got a very limited kind of wardrobe because of that anyway. That's not important. The point is, you get what you get. So if you go to the food bank 1 week, they'll give you, let's say, loads of cans. It'll be like vegetables, beans, spinach, carrots, peas, you name it, tons of cans, and maybe 1 or 2 portions of protein. That will be like chicken, or maybe if you're lucky, some beef. Usually you'll get 1 or 2 portions per week. That's it, though. That's like, depending on how many people are in your household, you have to do something with that. You have to make something out of that. Now, lots of people don't even know how to cook, basically. I've noticed here in the US, it's not something that's very common. I'm not saying everybody, but the people that can't cook, we want to help you guys see that it's easy to make nice, tasty food with a very small budget, with just what you got. And we are going to show you by being creative. And the thing is, Mick and I both are very accomplished chefs, I would say. I'm not a professional chef in that sense, but I've always cooked since I was like, I'd say 10 I started. My mother fucking screamed the place down. Yeah, it's quite funny actually because she was this clean freak. The place was so clean you could eat off the floor. This is not how I lived. This is how my mother lived. So it's difficult around certain people. Anyway, the point is, my mother had this spotless house, and I was like 10, and I found out butter smelled really nice if you heated it up in a pan a few days earlier. And I was hungry, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make myself some toast. And I fried a piece of bread, like a slice of white bread, with lots of salt and pepper and all the spices that smell good. And I kept putting more butter on it. It smelled really nice. I ate it. She actually let me eat it while she was screaming at me and cleaning the kitchen because I sprayed it. Because I heated it up, the butter went everywhere and it went in like this fine fatty mist. Oh my God. Yeah. And she had a fucking meltdown right there. Screamed at me. I hope you bloody eat it. I hope you choke on it. You know, that sort of thing. Motherly love. Yeah. I don't think she punched me or anything for that, but I mean, it's like she never really thumped me, maybe 3 or 4 times in my life, and it was always more upsetting than it was painful. It was just weird. Anyway, I wasn't going to talk about that. Point is, as you can see, I chat forever. The question is, what do you want to hear? Do you want to hear us talk about cooking? Like, how do you make the perfect French cheese souffle or something like that? Or how do I fry an egg? Even something simple like that. I don't give a toss. If you say you want basic stuff, we'll do that. If you say you want to know how to make a Cajun meal, Mick's your basic. He's your man. He's the one who knows how to do all that. I can do French cuisine, Italian, and I'm talking genuine, real Italian. From Italy. No marinara sauces, no meatballs, nothing weird like that. Proper bolognese, for instance. Just such a difference. Yeah, Mick didn't like spaghetti until he met me. Or rather, until I took him to Italy. Literally took him to Italy for the day. We got on the train, and this was actually really cool because this was a present from the guys I'd worked with previously. And it was great because we had first class tickets and everything. It was really nice. But we got on the train like 2 days after he got here, or rather got to Switzerland from coming from here to visit me. This is when we were still getting to know each other. Plus, if you want to get married, you have to have at least that many times of seeing each other. So he had to visit me many times, I had to visit him many times, so we could prove that we'd actually seen each other and that, you know, it wasn't a problem for me to come here and get married to him. I can talk about that too if you're interested. I can even give you advice and tell you what I did and see what happens now. I mean, I could even give you addresses if you wanted. Like if you want to come and live in the US. I mean, right now maybe nobody does. I don't know. It's actually still a very nice place, and I like. I know my face doesn't reflect it. Don't think that. That's another thing most people don't realise. I have this weirdness where I pull a face if I like something. Like if I try something and it's good, I'll make a face, you know. It's weird. Mick was totally thrown off by it. When he got to know me first, he was like, see, she hates it. He'd cook something and I'd be like, this is nice. And he'd go, you know, because he thought I hated it. And it's not the case. It's actually really true. I make that face when I like something. It's weird. Okay, so that's another thing I could talk about. I could talk about how it was to come here and become currently I'm still in the process of it, but, you know, live here basically. How did I manage to come here? What was it? What kind of visa do I have? Because, yes, I'm a systems specialist. I'm a Unix engineer of a few years of experience. I'm not one of the great ones that does all this scripting wizardry or anything. I can read scripts, I can interpret scripts, but my brain is more, what's the word? It's like I do other things too, and I don't just do the whole computer stuff well. I love it, always have. It's been a thing for me, always wanting to know how everything works. I mean, during my apprenticeship, my main subject matter was how to smoke weed. So in those 4 years, I didn't really learn anything. I've got lots of books still from that time, and technically, right now, I think if at all, I'd be at the right age to say, okay, if I wanted to, I could pick all this stuff up again and learn it, because I'm not an idiot. It's just at the time, I just wasn't really that into it. Now, in hindsight, I think, you know what, I could have gone and done a, I don't know, college degree, whatever, all that rubbish. Could have done all that. But life sometimes has a different way of presenting itself to people, and you do different things differently. And I mean, I've always had jobs where you need to have at least a bachelor's or a master's degree, which I don't have. So I'm not a complete idiot, and I can, I can do some things well enough to be able to warrant that. Right now, I haven't got a job. I used to work for a really cool software company in Broomfield, and that was nice, but certain things happened, and we then tried to get our own business on our feet, and that didn't grow as well as we thought it was gonna. Lots of things happened, and now I'm looking for a job again. So this is just something that we're going to be doing during, in the evenings, or whenever I feel like talking to the camera. I'll tell you something about what's going on. But so if you really want me to talk about something specific, I can talk about cooking, I can talk about electronics, which is probably not too interesting for most of you guys, but I don't know. I mean, some people might be interested in the difference, what it's like to live here as vice versa to Europe. I mean, I think some things are more easily available, but then some things are better quality in Europe than they are here, and vice versa. Then stuff lasts less long if you plug it in here than you do in Europe, because we use different voltage, and the amperage is lower automatically because of it. All those things, like stuff like that. Take that into account. If you're trying to move here, that's another subject. I can talk about how to move here. I can talk about how to live here. I can talk about how to the best way of getting a visa if you're trying to get in. I mean, I didn't do a conventional thing. I didn't wait a year before I came here. I just came here, and we got married, basically. So it was okay. It wasn't like I was doing anything wrong. I had all the paperwork, and I did it all myself, and it took forever. And when I actually got that piece of paper that said, now you can stay here for at least 2 years, that was great. So now I've got to renew that, because those 2 years have now expired. I've got another piece of paper that says I can stay here for a year, basically until I get fingerprinted for the new green card. So I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for the appointment to come for that. But because the government's shut down right now, thank you, Republicans. No, it's not the Democrats. I know that. Everybody knows that. The whole world knows that. Now, it doesn't matter. Anyway, politics aside. The point is, I've got to wait. So it's just going to take a while, but this piece of paper says I can stay here at least another year. And if anything else happened, I know you need to take step by step. That's what you do. It's the same in every country, government. You just follow the rules. You read what it says. You do what it says in the paperwork, and you just continue to do that. And you don't break any rules, you don't break the law, you just properly behaved, ideally. So anyway, the point is, anything you would like me to talk about like that, any subject matter. And I apologise for not looking like, I don't know, I've been peeled out of an egg, because I'm not. I just woke up like 3 hours ago, and I've been looking for a job. So I've been applying, sitting in bed applying, because this is the warmest room in the house right now. Our heater isn't working. It hasn't been, and that weird noise in the background that you can hear, that's an electric heater, which is excruciatingly expensive. And I hope I really get a job soon. So you guys, anything you can think of that you would like me to talk about, or my husband for that matter. And it's going to be funny, because I speak with a British accent, and he speaks with a more southern drawl kind of thing. So if you want to do that, it depends. He just speaks standard American. What is that? A Midwestern accent, I think that's what that's called. My accent is supposedly what was that? I've forgotten about it. But it was basically the same thing that Russell Brand speaks, but my husband reckons I don't sound like him at all. maybe it's because I try to at least enunciate certain things a little bit better than he does. It's not. I don't know. My parents taught me English, and I learned it in Switzerland, which is one of the weird things about it. So I actually speak English in a weird, sort of contained, preserved kind of manner, the way they would have done in 1968 in England, London, specifically. So I'll use expressions like, he's getting up my nose. People are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Nobody uses that expression anymore. It's like 50 years old. No, 70 years old. Yeah. Oh dear. I could also speak about other subjects, like, for instance, what it's like to live in a different country and then lose a parent. That's another thing I can talk about, because that happened to me as well. That's not a funny subject, and I tend to, delve into stuff that can get a bit personal in some cases, so, because I don't censor anything, really. I might cut some of the stuff out of this video, I don't know yet, I might not, but if I don't like something, I might cut it. The idea is, I'm just telling you guys, look, I'm going to put this on YouTube and Facebook, so everybody who sees it can also subscribe to our channel if you want to, if you're interested in any of that. But we are planning to make some interesting content soon, and basically it's just up to getting some food that we can cook. Right now the fridge is empty. Oh, right, relatively empty. We've still got quite a bit of little bits and bobs of stuff, but again, other people would already say there's no food in the house. There is, it's just not a lot, and you have to be creative, and that's the point of those videos. So the idea is, if you've got, like, let's say, just as an example, you have a can of green beans, you've got a can of, I don't know, carrots. It's an ideal scenario. Or let's say a can of what's it called, just tomatoes, green beans. You've got a bit of ham, maybe some eggs, and not much else. Maybe some rice and pasta. What can you do with that? Well, you could make, let's say, something fried, like fried rice, but fried pasta instead, with the beans as well. I don't know about beetroot, maybe that's not exactly ideal, but you could make a salad out of that if you had, like, the trimmings. Just, if you have all that stuff at home, and that's the idea. The idea is to get yourself the cheap stuff. If you don't have a lot of money, buy a large quantity of something. When you have the money, every so often, stock up on things like flour, oil, cooking oil. And it's such a good idea to get a nice one if you can afford it. I realise that virgin olive oil is expensive, but if you get the Walmart one, I think that's actually relatively cheap. Again, it's always a matter of how much money you've got to play with, if you've got any at all. Right now, we're sort of thinking on the basis of you've got nothing, right? So when we do make a recipe, it's going to be very weird. You'll have, like, this is the ingredients we had, like leftover pork from something we did last week, for instance. And we do get that a lot because we eat a lot of pork, because pork is cheap. And if you search through those meat counters at Walmart, because right now, again, that's the only thing we can afford. If we do have money to buy stuff, usually we buy the cheapest. We will go to the connoisseurs as well occasionally, because they're close, and you can walk there closer and faster than you could to, let's say, Walmart, because they are a little bit more pricey. But you'll just go and get, like, 3 ingredients, like some onions, a bit of meat, like a pound of, and that's big as my fist. That's not a lot at all. It's a little bit of meat that's tiny. But it will pad a meal. Now, if you don't have a lot, and you have to mix that, things like beans, great. Beans are protein. They taste proteiny. They give things a proteiny taste. You can make beans taste better by putting things like cumin in with them. I know that sounds weird, but cumin goes really well with beans. Now, first time my husband said, "Oh, let's put some cumin on this meat," I was like, "Ugh, what's wrong with you? Ugh, stuff tastes like shit." Now, I've got to explain. Growing up in Switzerland, Germany is close, so the Germans, they put whole cumin, like seeds, on their bread. Yeah, my fingernails don't look great, so just don't look at those, please. And it's nice. It's very dark, very it's called Schwarzbrot, which means black bread, and it's very dark. It's like not quite the consistency of pumpernickel, which is more waxy and weird. So you have to sort of peel it. You have to like slice it very carefully, otherwise it will crumble and break. But it's very similar to that. It's very dark. It's got the whole grain is in there, and it's really nice bread if you like dark bread. Now it's got cumin on the outside. Traditionally, you eat that with let's say Weisswurst, which is that sausage from Bavaria that everybody knows that's been to Bavaria and has ever had one of those beers, liter jugs, those big glass ones. Bavarian Weisswurst is something that is eaten with that specific bread. Now, I'm used to that, and it's a weird kind of bread to eat. It's just decorative on the top, and yes, they bake some of it into it, but it's like, why would you put cumin on bread? That's weird. So I never really experienced cumin in anything else but that, or let's say if I had a chai or a curry, because there's lots of cumin in curry. Most people don't realise that. There's a lot of cumin in curry. And I wasn't aware of it either, really, until I was confronted with my husband putting it on a piece of beef in front of me, and I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing?" Because I was used to just putting a bit of oil on it and a bit of garlic and salt and pepper, and that was it. That was sort of how we did it. But then I realised, after trying it, I'd overreacted, first of all, and secondly, he was right. It was really nice. And now I look forward to that when he makes stuff. And we've also found out that other stuff goes really well on meat before we put it into a smoker, for instance. We have this, this was purchased where we still had some cash. Right now we're still broke, but at the time we were flush, so we could afford to buy that. And we got a smoker that you can put meat into. And then you just generate smoke by putting wood pellets, which you can actually get really cheaply at Walmart. And they last a while. Plus, we reuse them. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but you can. Then another thing that my husband does too, before he actually does any smoking, is he boils the wood, which is really weird, but it's made a big difference to how bitter it is. Because sometimes if you smoke meat, it has this very acidic taste to it. Very strong, as I was punched in the face. So if you water those first and you cook them on the stove, like you just boil them a little bit, like bring the water to the boil with the wood chips in them, it's like that takes all that acid out, and the meat doesn't taste acidic anymore. It tastes really nice. You can just taste the wood taste, the smoke taste without the acidity. So that was also a really nice discovery, to find out that we could make it taste good, even if it was really strong wood. Like, for instance, mesquite is really strong. Apple wood is light. Cherry wood is relatively strong too, compared to apple wood. But if you boil those chips first, that makes all the difference. So that's a little trick there. Of course, we'd explain something like that while we're doing it anyway, so it'll be clear that you know exactly what you need to do to get it to that kind of stage. And that's another thing. I grew up with pork that was dry and tasteless and loveless, and I just didn't like it. So when I came here the first time and he asked me if I wanted pork, I said no thanks, and he looked at me as though I was crazy. So similar reaction to me when I said to him, "Do you like spaghetti?" He went, "Are you crazy? It's disgusting." I said, "What?" So when he came to visit me that one time, took the train, went to Italy, basically walked around a bit in a place called Domodossola. It's right on the border between Switzerland and Germany. It's right, Switzerland and Italy. It's right the first town you come into with the train. So we got off there, walked around a bit, just pranced around the place, walked around, looked around, took pictures of things, and then I said to him, "I think that looks like it might be a restaurant. Let's go inside and see what they say." And he's like, "Okay, just walk with me," because he doesn't speak Italian, but I do a little bit. So I was like, hands and feet, and talking to this lady and saying to her, "Hungry, you know, we're hungry, we'd like to eat, you know," and she was like, "Follow me," you know. It was great. And then she gave us the menu. We were sitting out in this nice little courtyard. It was really cool, with these old windows and buildings that were like 600 or 700 years old. And it's not the same as it is in the US, where everything's brand new and it looks like these houses have been put up like yesterday, and everything's made out of wood houses. Everything in Europe is stone or concrete or brick or even older stuff. I mean, in some cases it's even just wood with sort of white stuff in between. And I don't know exactly how they do that, but that's just rock that they've blown out of a mountain somewhere that they've just transported. And there's lots of houses like that still around that are still standing and are still with like 2 meter thick walls. You know, like that's 6 feet roughly, a bit more, maybe 6.5, 6 3/4. Anyway, point is, he didn't know what he was missing until he tried real spaghetti. Because when she came out with this platter, it was a platter of linguine. Now, linguine are noodles that are roughly this wide, about 1/4 inch, roughly something like that, maybe a little bit less. And I think actually it was tagliatelle, so it was a bit wider than that. It was probably more like this wide, about as wide as your thumb. Yeah, something like that. Quite wide. And then they were mixed with the sauce, everything on a big platter, and it was all piled on this platter. And he'd never seen anything like it, because I'm guessing that you don't get spaghetti served like that here. It's all like spaghetti, sauce, meatballs here. In Europe, Italy especially, all mixed up. That's how you get it. So then you sat there and you just served yourself some of that spaghetti. Lots of cheese. That was also on the table. It was great. Bread, everything. And then I ordered 2 nice steaks afterwards. He didn't even care about the steaks. That was great. He just ate the spaghetti and he was so fascinated by it. It's like he was analysing it while he was eating it. And when we got home, when I moved here with him, he started making the recipe. He tried to make it. And we found out that we like oxtail, which is also relatively, supposedly a cheap cut, but it's not, depending on where you get it, because it's rare that people actually do anything with it nowadays. So it's actually quite pricey. It's not a surprise to find an oxtail like this big, 2 pieces, for like $26. And I'm not kidding, that's pricey. I think that's expensive if you think about the equivalent in pork, double the size of that, $9. Yeah, if you really are on a budget and you haven't got a lot of money to play with, that makes a big difference. But oxtail is all about taste. The texture, of course, comes into it. It falls to bits when you cook it long enough, and that's the idea. That and beef tongue, it's another one. Those two together make this unique taste that if you mix just some hamburger in it that doesn't taste of anything, that's bland, just beef, nothing special, that will make it taste so much better. Now, when we get a chance to actually get a hold of some of that, we'll make a video about how to make proper bolognese, the way we make it. And Mick's probably going to be the main protagonist of the video. I'm just going to do the chopping so that you'll see the ingredients lined up on the board, and I'll take pictures of that and put that in the video. But like I said, the possibilities are basically endless. We can talk about anything that we know about. I mean, I can bore you for hours on end about operating systems, but I don't think you're interested in that. People want to be entertained. They want to listen to something nice. They want to, nowadays, especially right now, with the politics going on in this country, you want to be able to have fun. If you're going to watch a video on YouTube, you want to enjoy it, right? So if you're going to see how to cook something cool, even if it's just us talking crap to each other while we're cooking, I mean, that's going to be worth listening to. I'm sure it is, because you hear how I speak. My husband is from Arkansas. He doesn't actually speak with that drawl anymore, really. He went to speech therapy to get rid of it. But he can put it on if he wants to. He can totally turn it right on again. It's not an issue. So, and it's funny because you'll hear me speak the way I do, and then him with his American accent, and then his flowery language. He'll come out with these funny expressions, the stuff that my mum used to say. Very similar too. I'm led to believe very often that English people have more in common with Southerners than they realise. And, I'm saying as in the expressions they use, as in some of the dishes maybe even that they prepare. I mean, there's so many things here that I found out I really like, that are just very basic Southern dishes, nothing special, nothing expensive. Biscuits and gravy, for instance. I never knew what biscuits and gravy were until I came here. Biscuits in England are sweet cookies, basically. We call those biscuits. Like, if an Englishman says to you, "Can I have tea and biscuits?" he's not talking about the fluffy ones from the south. He's talking about chocolate cookies or shortbread or something like that. And then he says tea and biscuits, right? So if you say biscuits and gravy, to an English person, they'll probably be like, what is wrong with you? But the idea is, now I've tried it, I really like it. And not just that, there's other stuff like that too that I've found out I really like too. Like, I've not really warmed up to things like grits so much. I like the Italian version better, which is yellow and savoury and tastes better. The only one I have to say, to be fair, I've tried was Waffle House's. And that sort of tastes a bit like somebody wiped an ashtray out and mixed it in with it. I don't know why. It's got some kind of weird ashtray kind of taste to it that I just don't like. And I'm sorry, I don't smoke anymore, so it's not me. Yes, my husband smokes like a chimney, and yes, my clothes smell like it because he smokes, but it's not that, okay? I don't know what it is, I just don't like those. I like polenta. Italian polenta. Yes, I'll eat that. That's fucking wonderful, I love it. With some rabbit or some deer or even just a piece of beef or a piece of pork with a bit of gravy. Really nice. Very, very nice. I've had luxurious stuffs like hunted goat, mountain goat that was hunted legally, but in Switzerland, with polenta done over the fire, as it should be. Bloody brilliant, wonderful. That's the sort of stuff you want to eat. That's what makes you happy. So the idea is, when we do cook, we are going to make food that you're going to want to eat. We'll talk about vegetarian alternatives, even possibly vegan to an extent, but we will be mainly making meat dishes. My husband is a carnivore, so I'm sorry if that offends you, then I'm afraid that we're not going to be the channel for you. But I always try and mention that as well, because I used to be a vegetarian, and I can tell you, from experience, I know that it's really hard to come up with ideas of what you can make if you're not a natural cook. You haven't got a massive budget, because vegetarianism is expensive. If you want to be able to eat the proper protein that you should consume in plant protein, you have to pay. And you have to eat a lot, because you can't eat just 6 kilos of spinach every day. That's going to take forever, get boring. Right, so even that, I will occasionally make vegetarian recipes too. It won't be vegan. I'll be using eggs and butter and stuff like that. But if you guys have those alternatives yourself and you know how to cook, you can substitute that with something, or you can comment and say, look, we could use this, or could you make so and so out of this? As it goes on, if we get a job and don't starve to death, ideally I'll be able to afford ingredients occasionally and get nice too. But in the beginning, it's going to be basically cooking on a shoestring budget. You got nothing. You got 6 cans of something and something else. What do you do? What do you make with this? If you've got like the basics, you've got salt and pepper, you've got oil, you've got a bit of flour, you've got all that stuff. Ideally, I know you won't necessarily have it, but if you haven't got it, then also think quickly. Try and just adapt, That's what it's going to be about. That's actually one of my strong points. I think that's also one of the reasons why I actually enjoyed working at VMware. Because, I'm going to have to cut that. Because of the whole having to think on your feet thing. But yeah, cooking can be very similar too. If you have suddenly realise you're out of something. What did you do? Bagger! My recipe's fact. No, it's not. You can do this instead. And I even have a book about it somewhere. It's in German, but it doesn't matter. I can translate anything. So the point is, that's another thing. German lessons. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to talk about that sort of stuff? Do you want me to... I don't know. You guys give us some feedback. It would be cool if you said, yep, you want to see that? Or no, this is rubbish. I don't know. Now I'm going to listen to all this rubbish again, and it's already this long, so I'm going to stop now. See you guys.